VS9 మీడియాకు స్వాగతం. కరోనా వ్యాక్సిన్ కోసం దేశం మొత్తం హైదరాబాద్ వైపు చూస్తుందన్న తెలంగాణ ఐటీ మంత్రి కేటీఆర్. వ్యాక్సిన్ కోసం పోటీలో సైన్స్ అత్యవసరం, సమతౌల్యత అంశంపై నిపుణులు, అనుభవజ్ఞులతో మంత్రి కేటీఆర్ సమావేశం.
In the country, including Serum and others, in a country like India, where government doesn't spend too much on R&D, government per se does not spend a lot of money on research and development. Of course, we encourage private sector to invest in R&D. We encourage private sector, of course, to take the risk, and of course, the reward also will be that much higher. The fact is, this is the first time you three are sharing a podium or a platform, on a vaccine development, or especially in light of COVID. Let me ask you, Anand, Indian Immunologicals again has a long track record. How do we ensure as a government, be it the Telangana government or be it government of India, how do we ensure that while you actively compete with each other, while you actively race up against each other in development of a vaccine, in pursuit of vaccine, isn't there scope for you to collaborate, work with each other, and also talk to each other, engage with each other, so that when humanity is faced with such a huge crisis, should we not be coming together more often as industry, as government, as competition, to collaborate and to come out with more coherent and synergistic strategies? Your thoughts on this? Then we can go into other things.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for organizing a platform where at least three manufacturers who are supposed to be one of the largest in India to come together. As you rightly said, that COVID-19 has offered us a tremendous challenge, especially for all the vaccine manufacturers to come out with a candidate vaccine at a very, very rapid speed. We are, in fact, some of our companies are in talking terms with each other to see if we can combine together to use our facilities. Here actually we don't call this as a rat race or something, because here when humanity is at risk, we are always talking to each other to see that if we can agree on using our combined strength to bring about a vaccine at the fastest pace. In our case, we at Indian Immunologicals, there are various, as Dr. Soumya said, that there are various platforms being pursued. We have chosen a live attenuated codon de-optimized platform. The live attenuated codon de-optimized platform gives tremendous advantage for a country like ours. Especially, this vaccine needs to be administered right from children to senior citizens. So if the vaccine is going to be priced very high, then it's going to be totally unaffordable for any government. Like I heard one of our competitor vaccine companies saying that a vaccine will be priced at 1,000 rupees a dose. 1,000 rupees a dose for a country of our size. And if you want to achieve, let's say even 70%, because 70% is a number which is given to as a number for herd immunity. So if you calculate our population of our size at 1,000 rupees, it's going to be several lakh crores of rupees which will be spent on vaccination, totally not feasible. So we have taken an approach which is a very difficult approach, because in our live attenuated vaccine technology, it will stimulate both humoral immunity and cell-mediated immune response, and probably 1 or 2 doses is sufficient for, we expect that 1 or 2 doses is sufficient for the entire lifespan, and the cost would be not as high as well. So, under normal circumstances, live attenuated vaccines would take several years to develop. If you see, there are very successful live attenuated vaccines like measles vaccine, which is rubella vaccine, which is being used now. But we have modern technology called codon de-optimization. With that, with the help of our collaborators in Australia and in the US, we have almost constructed 20 live attenuated codon de-optimized viruses. We will start the mice studies in September. And then we'll do the non-human primate studies in October. And we are planning to start the phase 1 trials as early as January 2021. So the thing is, our approach takes a little longer because technologically it's much more challenging to do. But then when it comes as a vaccine, then we will be the most cost effective, and it will be a vaccine where you administer once or twice and then you don't have to administer for the rest of the life. So that's the approach that we're taking. And in the meantime, we do have spare capacity. If any of our friends want to utilize some of our fill finish capacity, they are free to approach us, and we are always happy to share our capacities.
Did
Could
you say
I-
free to approach or did you say free to use as well? Thank you,
Free-
Anand, for
yeah,
that
thank you.
generous offer.
Could I
Krishna?
just make a quick comment on the collaboration? I
please,
mean, I
Sure.
was in discussions with Adar from the Serum Institute, and we have an association called the Vaccine Manufacturing Association, in which Indian manufacturers are part of that. And in that context, we've been in discussion over several policy issues, and this certainly came up. There's a principal understanding between us that we will deploy capacities for each other. And what's important to understand, it's not just in the context of COVID, but while we're trying to develop COVID vaccines, we have routine immunization commitments and supply commitments on Rota, on, DPT, Penta. But it's not easy to deploy capacity with each other because of the way the regulatory system is set up. So if father wanted to say that, B, you fill my pentavalent because, I have COVID obligations, for us to do that, we have to potentially go through clinical trials, but it requires a lot of regulatory work and potentially 6 to 8 months before we even are able to do that. So if we can shift the needle there, it allows more flexibility for us to be open. But I think in principle, we all want to deploy infrastructure in a way that best serves humanity at a critical time like this.
I think you put it really, really pointedly. Krishna, would you like to also comment on this idea of collaboration?
I just want to say that I'm glad you organized this meeting. We may be competing, all three of us, but we are all of us competing with infectious disease. Please keep in mind that we may compete in the marketplace, but we are competing against infectious disease. That is common goal for all of us. Yes, Indian manufacturers need the time now to collaborate more. It's easy to collaborate with the US and other people, but with India, it's a little difficult because we have cultural problem. We don't trust our own brothers, that's unfortunately. So the culture has to change, but definitely that is required. But I want to say one more important point in front of Honorable Minister. India is manufacturing 100 doses. Serum Institute is only making 30. 70% of the other vaccine comes 3 manufacturers. Keep that in mind. That means 70% of India comes from 3 manufacturers. That means Hyderabad is nothing less than Serum Institute. Please keep in mind. As a single company may be different, but all 3 manufacturers, we are more than double than a Serum Institute as a combined strength of Hyderabad. And I want to tell you that partnership is now, the disease is getting complex. I think we need a partnership. We don't even, we are buying from tetanus from BE now. We said we have to stop importing things rather than we collaborate among ourselves. And I think it will start right now. I think the minister has organized this meeting. It brings some comfort level to all of us also in a way. But I can tell you one more thing. Telangana will lead innovation in India. Please keep this line tagged. Okay? Telangana will lead the innovation of India. There's nothing less. Because it's not that because ministry is here, I'm telling you this. I'm seeing the ecosystem that we are building in. You see this sort of ecosystem of manufacturing, R&D, very high intense. Bangalore gets unnecessarily a popularity of the media. But actually, we have better ecosystem than any other state of the country. But I think we need to see, and actually, we've done typhoid conjugate, first vaccine in the world. So that comes from Hyderabad. So a lot of vaccines. Now even B is developing new vaccine. They are developing new vaccine. Everything is going to come from here. So there's nothing less than that. And I think we are nowhere less than any other companies in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Krishna. In fact, since this morning, I've been hearing a number of things on the innovation front and how important innovation is in your line of work. We have T-Hub in our state. We have T-Works. We have a bunch of other initiatives that start with T. But I've also realized this morning after talking to all of you that T cells are equally important. I think in this process, I think we have one more sort of an addition to this T portfolio. But before I go into other questions or other points, I think a question to all 3 of you. I think each of you should respond to this. See, India now and Indians now are looking forward to you guys with a lot of anticipation. We want the vaccine to be cheap and affordable. We want it to come yesterday, if not, say a month from now, that quickly we want it. We also want accessibility, and like Dr. Swaminathan pointed out, we don't want hoarding happening. We don't want only the privileged and the rich in India to be getting the first shots and them to be safer than the others. So we cannot have that divide as well. But that is the ask, that is the demand. Now the question to you guys is, what can governments do? Because I just heard Mahima say, sometimes when I want to really change gears and move fast, the regulatory framework comes in the way. Be it in the state, be it the DCGI, be it Delhi. What do we need? What do we need to do as governments to enable you? Because, like I said, we are a developing country, we are a third world country, we can't invest lots and lots of money in research and development from the exchequers or the consolidated money or the exchequers money. But how do we facilitate, how do we encourage you, how do we take away the hurdles, how do we ensure these roadblocks in your regulatory approval processes are removed? The reason why I ask is because I want to appeal to Government of India, from the industry here, from the government here, taking into account all of your viewpoints and taking into account all of your ideas and suggestions. I want to write to them, I want to request them, I want to reach out to them and be your advocate for the industry in terms of ensuring that we compete with the world on an even keel. If the world is actually moving at a brisk pace, it is primarily because they don't have as many legal hurdles, as many regulatory hurdles as we have in India. So please do vent, please do talk, please do tell us what we need to change from within, in state government here and also in Delhi. What are the things that you would like to see differently? Starting with maybe Krishna, and then we go to Mahima and then to Anand.
I think this is a very important point. The vaccine field, unfortunately, controlled 90% by the federal government. That is number one. What we need as a Telangana, if you want to become a global player, we need CDSO, which is Drug Control Office, to have decentralized their power to Hyderabad. We need a South India headquarters of CDSO in the South India so that it can be Hyderabad, and that will strengthen, because we don't have, for a small clearance also, we're rushing to Delhi. It doesn't make sense for us. And the country is a big country, and 60% of the pharma is coming from here. So naturally, we need to have CDSO headquarters, decentralize some of the power, 90% of the power to be decentralized and located in Hyderabad. That will change the game for us, for Telangana. Number two, RCGM, DBT. Again, that has to be decentralized. Put a one small institute here, right in Junam Valley. They can be located here with the two offices. They clear everything, except the one BSL-3 area, highly contained organism can go there. Remaining all can be done. Because this is the only country, even for small R&D, sir, we need a permission from DBT. I don't know, they are the facilitator of the country's industry, but they're also in the regulatory chair. That is hurting us actually very bad. For every small R&D material to import, we need a permission of RCGM. That is going to kill a lot of startup companies in this country. It's hurting us actually very bad. And I think RCGM, at least if they can't close down, at least they should be decentralized and put them here. Third important is, every batch that we send to CRI Kasoli, if they can set up in Hyderabad one more testing where state government can build that infrastructure and give it to them, they can have a testing facility here. If they do that, and I think we'll rule the country.
Thank you, Krishna. In fact, on the last point, the testing center has been approved for Hyderabad. It will be up and running hopefully soon. But we'll hear from Mahima as well what she thinks needs to be done by governments in terms of removing these legal hurdles and regulatory hurdles.
So first, sir, I would break it down into the more immediate things that can be done and some of the more institutional challenges which will take time to accomplish, but once we accomplish those, they will pave the way for more innovation, not just in the context of COVID. So first, in the context of COVID, I would really like to highlight funding. So most manufacturers sitting at this table don't have access. We're doing this at risk. We're doing this, with commercial sources of capital. It's very challenging to do efficacy studies, global efficacy and safety studies, and invest in infrastructure when there's no pull mechanism that's visible. Now, the COVAX facility is one way where they're kind of trying to give you demand certainty, but that hasn't been forthcoming from our own government, which is a bit disappointing because we need to understand what the allocation strategy of the country will look like. Given all vaccines will not be available from day one, what is the volume you need for first responders? What is the volume you need in the second tranche? What is the overall immunization strategy? Is it 60% of the people? Is it 100% of the people? So these kinds of things, and I often use these terms, pull and push mechanisms. There are no pull mechanisms. In the absence of the pull mechanisms, it makes the lack of push mechanisms even more extreme. Our funding is extremely fragmented through BIRAC. Many countries, including China and the US, have fully funded at risk several programs, making sure that they have access to vaccines first, that they have access to a diverse portfolio of vaccines, and supporting companies to set up huge infrastructure. Now, this has long-term implications because India is the #1 vaccine player in the world. In not many industries can we claim to have that advantage, and I worry that by empowering everyone else in this fashion and not empowering India, we are losing in the long term a certain competitive advantage to other countries. This is easily done. The World Bank has $2 billion in funding that they're making available specifically to vaccine manufacturers to expand their infrastructure. But India needs to agree on terms to access those funds and make them available to a handful of manufacturers who have the track record to making this happen. So I've gone out on a limb here, but I think funding is a key thing. The second are the regulatory challenges. And it's not in the day-to-day clearances because I have to say that between DBT and the DCGI, they have been proactive in reaching out and saying if you don't get clearance in 24 hours, so has the state of Telangana. You know, I get calls. The reverse is happening, so it's actually kind of interesting to be put on the other side of things. So it's not about the day-to-day, but India still hasn't made clear the guidelines for what it means to license a vaccine. What efficacy parameters are you going to use? And FDA and WHO has published those guidelines.
I agree with you on two things here. First thing I think is Government of India really needs to take all stakeholders, including the states and the manufacturers, into confidence, strategize together. Instead of saying just 1 billion doses over a period of so many days or months or so many weeks, we need to strategize on not only on vaccine distribution, but also when we go into that phase where we have to test larger population. I think we need strategies, we need to test all corners of the country, and we need to ensure that the vaccine is made available. Secondly, on Krishna's point, I can vouch for it because I've been to his lab today on the biosafety level 3, BSL 3 standard lab. Not just a lab, in fact, the manufacturing facility. I'm told it's one of its kind in the world, not just in India, but it's one of its kind in the world. I am delighted and thrilled, to have witnessed something of that caliber and that standard in Hyderabad. I'm sure other labs are also, labs are of BSL 3 level, but manufacturing at BSL 3 level is also something that is truly unique. So we can certainly compete in terms of quality, in terms of cost, in terms of scale with everybody else in the world. So I also agree with you on the fact that we need to possibly position ourselves, brand ourselves, and talk up in the sense of Government of India and the state governments promoting you and encouraging the local manufacturers. Now, Anand, on this issue of equitable distribution, I've heard Prime Minister Modi talk about how we should possibly start planning now to distribute this vaccine to the large population of our country. What are your thoughts? And then we go to final comments from each of us, each of you.
As